Hi, everyone. Meteorologist Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone is enjoying a nice Friday afternoon. As we head over the next few hours, things could get a little bit bumpy, a little bit busy, as we're expecting a pretty powerful system to move through the area as we head through this afternoon into this evening and even into the overnight hours tonight. We're going to see the potential for some unsettled weather across the area. So we're still kind of watching and waiting for some thunderstorms to arrive in the area. So we're going to go over some timing, what we expect to see as we head over the next 12 to 18 hours or so, because there's a lot that's happening again. So we have weather alert days that are in place. It's already just going to be plain windy today, but outside of any thunderstorm risks. But when we add the thunderstorms into the mix as well, we could be seeing some damaging winds of up to 80 miles per hour or more. That's going to be the primary threat with the thunderstorms that we see through this afternoon into this evening. But also with this low pressure system that's moving through the area, there's a lot of twisting and turning of the winds, so we're not going to rule out the possibility of a tornado or two across parts of eastern Nebraska down into parts of Kansas and Missouri. The hail threat is pretty minimal at this point. Again, could see maybe a few larger hailstones mixed in, but really not too worried about the hail. So that's kind of the severe weather side of things. Outside of the severe weather, again, very windy out there already today. And again, we're going to continue to see very strong winds through this evening into the overnight hours, and even into early on Saturday, as we could see winds gusting up to 60, even 70 miles an hour at times, especially for parts of central and western Nebraska. And then as we head overnight tonight, there's going to be the potential for a little bit of a changeover from rain to snow, especially in the northern tier of the state. And when we combine that with those extremely strong winds, we could deal with some extremely poor visibility and maybe even some near blizzard-like conditions at times as we head overnight tonight into very early on Saturday morning. The best chance for that, though, would be across probably the northern and northeastern tier of the state. So there's a lot going on. So in terms of weather alerts, looking at severe thunderstorm watches, tornado watches, nothing across the state as of just yet. That obviously could change. So again, you want to make sure you stay tuned to the forecast over the next several hours. But we do already have a severe thunderstorm watch that's in place for parts of western Missouri into eastern Kansas. That's through 7 o'clock this evening. After that, we have wind alerts, both high wind warnings and wind advisories that cover almost the entirety of the state. Again, these are going to go through this evening, again, into the overnight hours, into early on Saturday. Again, wind gusts, top-end wind gusts in those high wind warning areas for much of central and western Nebraska, again, could approach 60, if not 70 miles an hour at times. The wind advisory areas in eastern Nebraska, maybe top-end wind gusts not quite that strong, but we're still talking about wind gusts potentially approaching 50 to maybe even 60 miles an hour at times. On top of that, with how dry and with how breezy and windy it is, we have critical fire conditions across the southeastern corner of the state. So red flag warnings are in place for Lincoln and southeastern Nebraska. We also have fire weather watches for parts of central Nebraska. So again, with how strong those winds are and how dry the fuels are, again, any fire that starts could get out of hand pretty quickly. So that's also a concern with this system. And then to the cherry on top is we actually have winter weather advisories that are in place for parts of northeastern Nebraska, including Norfolk. These run from 4 a.m. Tonight through 10 a.m. Saturday morning. They could maybe see an inch of snow, but again, when you combine that with the extremely strong winds, they could see some extremely poor visibility. So again, up there into the northeastern corner of the state is really the best chance to see any meaningful snow, I think, with this system as it barrels through the area over the next 12 to 18 hours or so. So current satellite radar picture, again, we've seen periods of cloudiness, we've seen periods of sunshine here in the capital city and across southeastern Nebraska this afternoon. We're starting to see the radar begin to fill in just a little bit, though, especially across the western third of the state, where we have some broad lift with this system that's beginning to give us some widely scattered light rain showers across parts of the Sandhills into southwestern Nebraska. We're also then keeping an eye on activity that's developing down to our south and to our southeast, again, with this low pressure system. Again, you can see the severe thunderstorm watch for basically right along the Kansas and Missouri border. Activity already ongoing in those areas, and again, already seeing a few warnings. For us, though, because all this activity is going to lift to the north and to the northeast, we're going to keep an eye on that activity that right now is kind of between the Nebraska state line and I-70. So that's a round of showers and potential thunderstorms we'll keep an eye on. But we're also seeing some activity to begin to develop just down to our south across parts of Gage County and over towards Pawnee County as well. So all of that activity is going to continue rapidly developing, and then it's going to continue to lift to the north and to the northeast extremely quickly. And that's the thing, is as we head through this evening, we're likely going to see some storms, but they're going to really blow through the area very, very quickly as they're going to be moving at 40, 50, 60, even up to 70 miles an hour. And so that's where we're going to be dealing with some of the extremely strong wind gusts on top of that as well. But as of right now, again, right around 3 o'clock Friday afternoon, not dealing with anything severe as of yet, but things are starting to percolate in the southeastern corner of the state and down across parts of north central, northeastern Kansas that we're going to keep a close eye on. So again, as we look at storm tracker radar, we can see some of that activity beginning to develop. Again, this is going to be just to the east of Beatrice, again, kind of between Beatrice and Falls City, Pawnee County, and parts of Richardson County. And again, it's weak right now, but again, it is developing, so we could see these pulse up pretty quickly. There is some lightning in there, so again, these storms we'll want to keep a close eye on over the next 30 or so minutes, again, as they lift. Again, basically almost due north, if not a little bit to the northeast as well. So again, folks in Auburn, Nebraska City, us obviously here in Lincoln, will need to keep an eye on this activity as we head over the next couple hours. So if we look at the severe weather outlook for the day today, we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather for the Lincoln and Omaha metro areas. Again, enhanced is 3 out of 5 on that SPC sort of category scale. And that means numerous severe thunderstorms are possible. We see that marginal risk extend all the way out into the Tri-Cities and central Nebraska. So again, from central Nebraska into the eastern sections of the state, we're looking at that chance from going from some isolated severe storms maybe in parts of central Nebraska to maybe a little bit more numerous as you head across the far eastern sections of the state. And really, we're just on the edge of what will be very busy weather as we head through the evening tonight. A moderate risk, an expansive moderate risk stretching from parts of Iowa through much of Missouri, much of Illinois, into parts of Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, down into Mississippi. Again, a really expansive moderate risk for severe weather where they're expecting, again, damaging wind gusts and quite a few damaging wind gusts as a damaging line of thunderstorms is expected to develop this evening that will continue to push east into the overnight hours tonight. So again, we're really just on the edge, and our window for this severe activity is going to be pretty narrow and pretty brief as we head over the next several hours. But other folks, especially just off to our east, are going to be dealing with a lot more. Even more so than that, as we head into the day tomorrow, this system, as it continues to push off to the east, we actually have a high risk for severe weather. That's as high as our scale goes, and that's going to be across parts of Mississippi and Alabama. So they're expecting potential tornado outbreak down in those areas. Again, it's actually only the third ever day 2 high risk that the Storm Prediction Center has issued, going back over almost the last 20 years. So again, we don't see this very often, and when we do see it, we certainly want to pay very close attention, as there could be some very threatening weather down across the Gulf states as we head into the day tomorrow. Thankfully, we'll be much quieter with our weather as we head into the day tomorrow. So if we check out Skycast, I think it's doing okay. Our in-house model doing okay. This is going to start an hour ahead. So this is going to start at 4 o'clock, so in about 45 minutes or so. And it's got that activity that we're keeping an eye on that's developing across the far southeastern corner of the state, kind of from Beatrice over towards Falls City. And as we go forward in time, again, it's going to move really quickly. You go from 4 to 5, that activity, again, almost then pushing into the Omaha metro area, but some of that's going to be pushing into Lincoln and Lancaster County. It looks like between about 4:35, maybe 5:30 this evening is when we could see some of that thunderstorm activity move through the area. Again, if it holds together, if it develops like we think it certainly could, that could certainly cause some issues come the evening commute for folks here in town. Again, obviously state basketball is going on, so there's even more folks out on the road maybe than usual. So again, that's something we're going to keep a close eye on. Past 5 o'clock, you can see that line continues to really quickly lift off to the north, to the northeast, but we're also going to start to see some spin with it, and it's going to kind of rotate back a little bit as that low pressure system starts to kind of throw things back around onto the backside. So here in Lincoln, we could see some of that activity linger as we head through the evening hours. I think the severe threat by 6, 7 o'clock goes down, but we still could be dealing with some isolated to widely scattered rain and maybe a few thunderstorms as we head into this evening. Meanwhile, you still have some light rain and eventually transitioning over to some light snow across parts of western sections of the state, and then we'll continue to see some of that wraparound moisture as we head through 10 o'clock tonight for the eastern sections of the state. So again, could be some light rain, some moderate rain at times. Again, it's going to be just windy as it is already, but we could see some extra wind gusts with some of those rain showers and isolated thunderstorms. And then we'll keep an eye on the potential for some of that changeover to snow as we head overnight and into early on your Saturday. But again, I think the best chances for any snow is going to be across the northern and northeastern sections of the state. Pretty minor accumulations, but when we factor in the wind, we could see again near whiteout and near blizzard conditions possibly at times as we head into early Saturday morning. Most of the moisture should be wrapped up as we head through Saturday morning. By the afternoon, though, it will be another windy day, and it will be much cooler on the backside of that system. So as far as precip chances in Lincoln goes, as we head over the course of the next 12 hours or so, again, that's going to slowly ramp up, I think, as we head towards 5 o'clock or so, and then we're going to hold it steady as we head through this evening. Again, that severe window, though, is probably through about 5, 6 o'clock, and then after 6 o'clock, we're talking more just rain and wind being the issue that we're going to have to deal with, but we'll also hold on to some of those low-end moisture chances as we head into your Saturday morning. Right now, just past 3 o'clock, it's 75 at the airport, 76 at the studio. We can see the winds gusting up to 35 miles an hour. The dew point is up to 43 degrees. So, again, the dew points are climbing. One of the things we usually want with severe weather is we want a lot of moisture. We don't have it with this system. We're relying on a lot of the upper-level dynamics with this strong low-pressure system to really get some of these storms going. So storms that we do see develop, again, could be fairly high-based because there's not a ton of moisture with this system, but that is one thing that we'll keep a very close eye on. You look at temperatures across the state, again, a typical spring storm in Nebraska, you got low 40s on one end of the state, Falls Cities all the way up to 78 degrees on the other end of the state. So again, 40s, 50s, 60s, and even almost 80 degrees from west to east across the state. Those dew point numbers, again, are highest into the southeastern corner of the state in the lower to middle 40s. Otherwise, again, you can see much drier air as you head further back to the west. That's why we think those severe weather chances are going to be lower for parts of central Nebraska as opposed to eastern sections of the state. So again, those are the dew point numbers. And the winds, you can see they're swirling as that low pressure system moves through the area. For the eastern half of the state, winds are out of the south, southeast, sustained at about 15 to 30 miles an hour. For the western half of the state, the winds are out of the north and northwest, sustained at about 20 to 40 miles an hour. And if you look at the wind gusts, again, already gusting up to 40, 50, close to 60 miles an hour for parts of western Nebraska. We already had a reported wind gust, I believe, of 70 miles an hour in parts of the Panhandle. Winds gusting anywhere between 25, 35, up to around 45 miles an hour for the eastern and southeastern sections of the state. So again, one more look at that satellite radar picture. Again, we can see some of that activity beginning to develop into the southeastern corner of the state. That's what we're going to keep an eye on here as we head over the course of the next hour. Non-severe activity ongoing across parts of western Nebraska. That's generally some scattered light rain for those areas in the western third of the state. We zoom out, look at a regional view, and actually we just had our first severe thunderstorm warning that was issued, so we're going to go back to that really quick. That looks like it's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning for extreme southeastern Nebraska. Let me see if I can pull up this information here real quick. Severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for parts of Johnson, Nemaha, Odo, and Richardson counties until 4 o'clock. And that is going to be for quarter-sized hail. That's 1 inch in diameter and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. If we zoom in here and take a closer look, that storm basically right between Pawnee City and Falls City. Strongest part of that storm, again, looks like it's just near Highway 75. I want to click off my lightning there so we can see that. So again, one strong cell mixed in there, and if I get some of the information on this, it is moving to the north at about 55 miles an hour. So locations by the storm impacted by the storm include Dawson, Nebraska City, Johnson, Lorton, Talmadge, Humboldt, Auburn, Duck Creek Recreation Area, Brock, Highway 62 and 105 Junction, Highway 75 and 8 Junction, Dunbar, Kirkman's Cove Recreation Area, Peru, and Julian. So again, that's our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day, and we will likely have some additional ones again as we head through the remainder. But one severe thunderstorm warning already issued, and again, this is the radar loop over the course of the last hour. So you can see those storms developing pretty quickly, and again, moving very quickly to the north as well. So that's something we're going to keep our eyes on in the Weather Center as we head over the next several hours. I want to jump back and look at Skycast. look at SkyCast here, and look at a regional view, and we can kind of see how this system evolves as we head just over the next couple hours. Those storms develop in southeastern Nebraska, and really quickly those storms develop in parts of eastern Kansas, western Missouri. But by 7 o'clock, that line extremely quickly pushing off to the east, already pushing into parts of then eastern Missouri, parts of central Iowa, and it's going to be that line, that damaging line of thunderstorms, that's what's really going to be responsible for that moderate risk for severe weather that we have across the area. And again, could produce damaging wind gusts 70, 80, even 90 miles an hour. Not out of the question. As we head towards midnight tonight, again, you can see that line of storms stretching from near Chicago down towards St. Louis, almost down to the Memphis area. We're going to be on the back end at this point. At this point, again, our severe weather threat is done. We'll still be dealing with some rain and a lot of wind and maybe even some snow across the far northern and northeastern sections of the state. By Saturday morning, we have blizzard warnings that are in place for parts of Minnesota. So again, areas off to our north, to our northeast, going to be dealing with heavy snow, extremely strong winds, and then into Saturday, again, we deal with the severe weather outbreak down in the Gulf states as well. So again, an extremely dynamic system. I think by Saturday afternoon, though, again, it's dry for us across the state, not quite as much wind. It will be, again, chilly as temperatures will be much cooler. And then as we head Saturday into Sunday, again, the severe threat continues to push well off to the east, onto the east coast. And then for us, again, I think we'll deal with some clouds through the day on Sunday, but generally quiet weather across the state through the day on your Sunday. Future wind gusts. Again, as we head through this evening, we're going to look for those winds to gust 50, 60, maybe even 60-plus miles an hour at times, especially on the back end as those winds turn to the north and to the northwest. We think here in Lincoln and in southeastern Nebraska, we won't see that change over to those northerly and northwesterly winds until about 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight as that system moves through the area. But those winds will stay strong and blustery all the way through the overnight hours and even into Saturday morning. Low temperatures tomorrow falling down anywhere from the low 20s to the low 40s, and then high temperatures tomorrow will be much cooler, again, especially for eastern Nebraska, where we were into the mid to upper 70s today. Tomorrow we're looking at highs generally in the upper 40s to low 50s across the state. So this is fairly seasonal for mid-March, but again, after we've had a couple days in the 70s and even 80s, it's going to feel pretty chilly, especially when we factor in that northwest wind that will be gusty through the day. Sunday morning will be cold with lows falling into the upper teens and low 20s. Sunday afternoon does get a little bit better. Temperatures jump back above average, climbing into the upper 50s to low 60s across the state. 7-day forecast looks like this. You can see we drop down on Saturday, 50 for a high, but then we jump up Sunday, 60 for a high, and then on St. Patrick's Day we make another big jump up to 80 degrees for our high temperature. A little bit cooler Tuesday. Temperatures fall to the low 70s, windy, and then we're going to keep an eye on another system midweek next week that could bring both rain and snow as well as more wind back to the area. Temperatures falling back down to the low 40s for high temperatures next Wednesday, and then the start of astronomical spring next Thursday. Looks again close to normal for this time of year with high of around 50 degrees. Looks mostly sunny and looks mainly dry at this time. But again, a lot of weather to get through before we kind of get to that point. Again, have that severe threat as we head through the remainder of this afternoon into early this evening. Again, it's going to be a really narrow window that we see that threat for severe weather. I think through about 6 o'clock for the 10-11 coverage area in eastern sections of the state. That's when we'll see that window. And actually, good thing I just punched this up. Severe thunderstorm watch now in effect for Lincoln and eastern sections of the state, including Omaha. That severe thunderstorm watch is going to go until 10 o'clock tonight. I'm going to see if I can get some additional info on that severe thunderstorm watch. Let's see here. They must have just issued that here in just the last minute or so. They issued that severe thunderstorm watch. Let's see. And the information's not even up yet on Storm Prediction Center website. So we'll come back to that in just a second. But severe thunderstorm watch issued till 10 o'clock tonight, eastern sections of the state. That includes Lincoln and Omaha, as well as parts of Iowa as well, through 10 p.m. Again, I think that's a little bit late. I don't think that our window for severe weather will be quite that long, but we may see some of those watches trimmed off and canceled a little bit early. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see as the evening wears on. So that's our first severe thunderstorm watch of 2025. And again, do already have one severe thunderstorm warning out there. Again, high wind alerts cover most of the state. We have high critical fire danger with red flag warnings in the southeast, fire weather watches in central Nebraska, and winter weather advisories in the northeastern corner of the state. So again, there's a lot going on for us weather-wise as we head over the next several hours. So again, here's another look at the satellite radar picture. Starting to see, again, that activity in southeastern Nebraska really begin to ramp up. Again, have the one severe thunderstorm warning. I actually want to go here to our storm tracker radar. Again, we still have that one severe thunderstorm warning. Let me see. See if I can. Here it is. There we go. Now I got that information. I want to go back to our severe thunderstorm watch. And so again, I already mentioned this is until 10 o'clock tonight. Our primary threats are going to include widespread damaging winds, and they're saying the isolated significant wind gusts up to 90 miles an hour are going to be possible. Scattered large hail events to 1.5 inches in diameter. That's about the size of ping pong balls. Again, I think on the high end, that's certainly possible. I think the hail threat, again, is much lower than the wind threat as we head through the day today, and we can't rule out a tornado or two, again, especially with that low-pressure system where it is, all the twisting and turning of the winds, that's certainly going to be possible. So thunderstorms will rapidly spread north-northeastward this afternoon and evening while posing a threat for widespread severe damaging winds. Strongest wind gusts could reach 80 to 90 miles an hour on an isolated basis. Some hail and perhaps a tornado could also occur if a supercell can form and be sustained later this evening. So again, that is that severe thunderstorm watch for the eastern sections of the state. That just issued here in just the last few minutes. So that is that information. I want to go back over here. What I want to do now is I want to punch in my computer here and show you this is the visible satellite imagery that we have. And again, you can see the spin of this low pressure system. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. That spin is currently down kind of across parts of central Kansas. And we can see erupting again along. I don't think I put that in here. I don't have my telestrator on here, so I can't use it. But we can see that vertical development of some of that activity in south central Nebraska, as well as into far southeastern Nebraska on the visible satellite imagery, that developing just over the last hour or so. And again, some additional activity, not quite as strong, down just north of I-70 there in parts of central Kansas. But there's a lot going on with this system as we've already gone through. Again, the wind, the fire danger, the winter weather, obviously the severe weather. There's a lot to kind of keep track of. Really quickly, though, I want to show, if we can. Oh, that's why it's doing that. Okay, I'm going to just make this go full screen here. I want to show, I'm going to turn off my supers so we can see this here. With this system, just because I think this is absolutely incredible. This is the satellite view over parts of Texas and Oklahoma, where they were having historical sort of fire risk with this system today. And all that brown stuff that we see on there, right in here, that is all dust. These are dust storms, haboobs. And just an incredible amount of dust being spread with these extremely strong winds across parts of North Texas, all the way up into parts of Oklahoma. And I think we've even seen maybe a little bit of that dust make it as far north as Nebraska, getting pulled into this system. Again, as I was driving back earlier this afternoon from a school visit, again, looking on the horizon, again, couldn't tell. It looked maybe dusty, looked maybe smoky. There was a lot going on there. So again, pretty powerful system. If I zoom out, again, we look at a little bit of a regional view. Again, you can see the activity that's ongoing across eastern sections of the state, southeastern Nebraska, the severe activity that we have almost right along the Iowa and Missouri border, and then right behind it, you can see that dust getting pulled in. That's also that dry air with that dry slot that we're going to watch where that goes as it gets pulled into this system. So an incredibly dynamic system unfolding across the area, and so it'll be really busy for all the meteorologists, again, from the northern plains dealing with blizzard, central plains, Midwest dealing with the severe weather that we have today, and down to the Gulf Coast for rounds of severe weather today and into the day tomorrow. So really going to be a pretty busy weather time for us. And it looks like, did we have maybe another? Go back to our radar here. Still have the one severe thunderstorm warning that is in place till 4 o'clock, but you can see how quickly this activity is moving, already almost pushing out of Richardson County in just the last few minutes. So again, looks like actually the strongest part of that little broken line of storms is actually across parts of Johnson County. And again, moving to the north at about 40 to 50 miles an hour or so. So this activity is going to continue to lift straight to the north. We're going to continue to keep an eye on it. Here in Lincoln, Lancaster County, nothing in our neck of the woods just yet. But again, it is across parts of northern Gage County. And again, is moving due north. So again, we're going to keep an eye on some of this activity potentially moving into the Lincoln area as we head over, probably over the next 30 or so minutes. So, a lot to keep an eye on as we head through this evening. We're going to continue to keep you updated both online and on air. Again, meteorologist Brandon Rector, Chief Meteorologist Ken Chimick back in the Weather Center right now. Brandon's going to be on the 4, 5, and 6 o'clock shows with, again, the latest when it comes to the severe weather possibilities as we head through this evening. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to end my stream here so we can kind of get reset, and we're going to continue to have additional coverage as we head over the next several hours. But again, can't stream over our newscast, so I'm kind of get our stream all set back up here. But we're going to continue to keep folks updated. So again, don't go away. Again, keep it tuned to 1011 both on air and online as we head through the rest of this evening. Again, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to be right back.